machen wir nochmal ein Bild. Ja, super.
Wir sind insgesamt 8 in Deutschland.
Ja, ich glaube jetzt heute ganz früh morgens. Gestern?
Can you hear me in the back row? Great. My name is David Noer. I'm the Geschäftsführer of Cerberus in Germany, and I welcome you all to our 10th birthday party. It's been a long run. We're really happy to be here today and to celebrate with all of you. I can remember really well 10 years ago, 2002, when I got a phone call from then U.S. Ambassador Dan Coates, who I knew quite well. And he told me a friend of his was coming to Germany and he needed some meetings set up in Frankfurt, and I knew everybody in Frankfurt, so could I help? And I asked, what company does he work for? I was told Cerberus, 2002. Who had ever heard of Cerberus? I asked, what do they do? He said, private equity. And I said, what's private equity? I said, who's your friend? He said, Dan Quayle, U.S. Vice President, our chairman. I said, okay, I know that guy. I'm happy to help. So I set up a couple days of meetings in Frankfurt, and after that, they were so happy with what had gone on. They decided they were going to open up an office, and they decided to open up in Frankfurt, and I was asked to come and help build the company. I was quite happy to do that. In the last 10 years, a lot of things have changed. From the days when we started in a Hilton hotel room, the first few months before we were able to find an office space. By the time we moved into that office, we had about 6 people. In the last 10 years, our team has grown 10 times. Our office space has grown 10 times. However, it's now not just in Frankfurt, but we're in Frankfurt, we're in London, we're in Amsterdam, we're in Madrid, we have a joint venture in Turkey. So we've been extremely active over the last 10 years. Other things have changed, of course. The food's been really good. And what I wanted to mention is just a little bit about the Cerberus business over the last 10 years, some of the big successes that we've had. As you know, we have 4 different areas of business that we cover. One is private equity. We've done a lot of private equity deals, all successful, knock on wood. One of those was Pegaform in 2004, an insolvent auto supply company that was 2 weeks away from being liquidated. We bought it. We restructured it, and several years later we sold it with a lot more sales, a lot more profit, and a lot more employees. So it was a great deal for everybody. On the lending business that we are very active in, we did a great deal with a company called Ströer. Ströer was the number 2 outside advertising company in Germany. We gave them the mezzanine and the senior debt to buy the Deutsche Städtemedien to create the number 1 player in the market in Germany, and they're growing into the number 1 player in Europe. On the NPL business that we spent a lot of time with, we did a deal out of an NPL portfolio. We had the debt of a company called Vittor, a company that makes elevator parts. We took the debt and we brought in the debt from all the other holders. We took over the company, we restructured it with the help of our senior advisors, and several years later we were able to sell that as well. The company was then fit for the future. Of course, the biggest business that we have currently is our real estate business, and in a second I'll turn it over to Ron to talk a little bit more about that. But before I do that, I wanted to mention one more aspect of the Cerberus business. One of the things that is very important to us is that we are sure to give something back in the areas where we invest our money, and we have our offices. We've done that with several different initiatives over the years, but the biggest one was the so-called Ausbildungsplus initiative. That means, for you who don't speak German, a traineeship program, which is part of the German way of schooling. And what we did was we took about 7 million euros over 4 years, and we created 600 Ausbildungsplätze, traineeships, for students that basically came out of homes that were, let's call them, economically challenged, or Migrationshintergründe. And we also put them together with companies that had less than 100 employees, so we could help smaller companies at the same time as we were helping people who had been lost in the marketplace, who had no chance to find a job until our program came along. Of those 600 people, 93% finished successfully their Ausbildung, their traineeship, and more than 80% were actually then taken over by those companies in full-time employment. So we're very happy with that. Now I'd like to turn over the microphone just for a minute or two to Ron Raywald, who joined our group, the Cerberus team, in, I believe, fall of 2007. He took over the Cerberus Germany real estate group and has grown it with his team to a Cerberus Europe real estate group, which has been hugely successful. And so we'll let Ron talk a little bit about that.
Thanks, David. Good morning. A lot of you know that I grew up in a small town in Indiana, and days like this, honestly, I think to myself, how the hell did I get here from Indiana? The town I grew up had less people than attend Expo by far. But I started leasing space in Indianapolis 25 years ago. I was in New York for 10 years, Tokyo for 5, and then 8 years ago, moved my family to Germany. And I can honestly say that it's a country I've fallen in love with. Now my wife thinks that's because I don't speak German, but I think it's actually because, you know, Cerberus and I have been fortunate to work with a lot of great people in our industry, partners, service providers, lawyers, appraisers, brokers, and of course banks. And without these partners, our success certainly would not have been possible. The other thing I think that I'd like to say is I do want to thank our tenants, our tens of thousands of tenants that live and work in our buildings. Oftentimes we think of real estate as spreadsheets and bricks and mortar, but tenants are our customers, and we try every day to make sure they're happy. And the facility managers, the property managers, the asset managers are really key to that. And you know, that is the core and fundamental of our business. Would also like to thank the colleagues I have at Cerberus. They work incredibly hard. They are smarter than me, and they speak German. But you came today about 10 years on the 10th at 10 in the morning and whatever, but I'd like you to leave with some 2s, because I think we're quite proud of the set of 2s that I'll give you in a second. In the past 2 years, we have sold over 2 billion euros of assets, real estate property, including the IPO of GSW, one of the most successful IPOs since the crisis. In the past 2 years, we have borrowed over 2 billion euros in new lending for new acquisitions and refinancings. And in the past 2 years, we have closed over 2 billion euros in new transactions, including the Metro Cash and Carry deal and Spy Mill. So we are fully engaged in this country. We appreciate your help over the past 10 years, and we look forward to continue to invest and be a positive part of this country going forward. Thank you.
Thanks for being too nice. Okay, now you got to do the rest of the work.
Yes.
Congratulations. Fantastic. You bet. You bet. Good to see you.
Das Schöne an Dirk ist, er ist Fulltime, Full-blown Service Provider.
Marius.
Ah. Die Jahreszeiten oder im Schalter oder so? Das wäre fast möglich, ja?
Meine ganzen alten Konzerte. Das ist eigentlich immer so 8 Jahre sich angesammelt haben.